Overpaying for anything sucks, especially socks, so why pay $45 for a single pair of grip socks when you can spend less than half? Pure Grip Socks Pro feature our best materials for optimal fit, moisture wicking, and performance at a fair price, just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
So this right here is the Adidas X Speedflow 0.1. It's only been out for a little over a month, and it's what I would argue is the most in-demand, not just speed boot, but football boot currently available. However, there have been some recent posts on social media by professional footballers showing what might potentially be a durability concern for these $250 football boots. So obviously I want to talk about how and why these issues have occurred, as well as whether or not I legitimately believe that there are durability issues with the Speedflow 0.1. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've not had any issues with the pair that I've played in, but I also don't go and test boots and have people studs up tackle me for the sake of seeing whether or not the upper's gonna rip. Maybe I should start. I'm just one person though, and I know a lot of you guys have gone out and purchased the Speedflow 0.1. So what I'll ask all of you guys who have a pair of these to do is leave a comment down below letting me know how your experience has been so far. Have you had no issues at all like myself, or have your pair also exploded? Before we get started though, if you guys do enjoy these football boot news type videos, please don't forget to support this one with a like, and if there's another topic you'd like to hear me discuss, let me know down below in the comment section. Also guys, we have a goal of 750,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of 2021. So for those of you that watch the content, enjoy it, but maybe aren't subscribed to the channel already, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So first things first, it is very important to note, and this is kind of an obvious thing, that the upper of the Speedflow 0.1 is extremely thin, which means should you get stepped on by another player also wearing boots with cleats on the bottom of their foot, it's going to hurt a lot because these boots offer almost no protection at all, and should those studs catch your upper in just the right way, it could tear through both the upper, your sock, as well as the skin on your foot. Something else that's very important to note in regards to this upper and what makes it different from other football boots with super thin uppers out there, like the Nike Mercurial Vapor 14, the Superfly 8, as well as the Ultra 1.3, all boots that have super thin uppers that also offer little to no protection at all, is that from a structure standpoint, mainly in regards to the pliability of the upper, this is by far the most pliable upper of the bunch, which means that should it be put under enough tension, kind of stretched out flat, if you will, if something pokes it in just the right spot with just enough sharpness, it could basically just explode on impact or rip on impact. And I guess to understand that a little bit better, if the upper is less pliable and maybe a little bit more rigid, should that same impact hit a boot in the same spot, because the upper has a little bit less kind of stretch to it, if you will, it's more likely that that stud is just going to slide along the surface, which still means that it's going to hurt when you get stepped on, but it's not necessarily going to rip through the upper. So when you're talking about the likelihood of the upper tearing on your football boots, I think the Speedflow 0.1 is much more susceptible to something like this than the Nike Mercurial alternatives, than the Puma Ultra 1.3 alternative, as well as even the X Speedflow Plus, which has a different synthetic upper that's not quite as pliable as this. As for these specific instances, I will say that I haven't seen videos of either of these boots ripping, and the one where the upper is torn pretty much all the way down the side, I question as to whether or not all of that happened while the boots were being worn. To me, it almost looks like the upper was maybe torn a little bit towards the top and then somebody just went and ripped it the rest of the way. Not that it matters. If the upper tears in any capacity, that's obviously not a good thing, but I think that this is some of those instances where maybe it's a little bit fluky, and also it's a little bit unfortunate that it happened to be the exact same football boots so close together. So obviously you have to get stepped on for this to happen, and I think you have to consider that when you put a pair of boots on your feet and you're just standing around, it can look like the upper wraps your foot perfectly, but when you cut while wearing these boots, you're going to put more pressure on the lateral side of the upper, and your foot almost pulls away from the inside, leaving a lot of that upper under tension, but free of any foot kind of on the underside of the upper, even if it's a very small space, that can be enough if the upper is under enough tension. So when someone goes and does tackle you studs up and it catches your upper wearing something like a pair of Mercurials as an example, which has these razor sharp ends to the bladed studs, that can pierce the upper and cut it a little bit more easily than I think a lot of people would expect. And when you have an upper as thin and as pliable as this one has, that can happen. Which leads us into the big question, is this a durability issue? Should you be worried about buying a SpeedFlow 0.1? And simply based on these two instances, while they are very close together, and that is a little bit suspicious, I've yet to see any other images of split uppers on SpeedFlow 0.1, then maybe the comment section in this video will change my mind on that. But given that these are the only two instances of any kind of issues in regards to the structural integrity of this upper that I've seen so far, I am led to believe that these are two unfortunate fluky incidents that are unlikely to happen to you. With that said, just because it's unlikely doesn't mean that it can't happen. And should you buy a pair of SpeedFlow 0.1s and have this happen to them within the first couple months of use, I have to imagine that you can get in contact with either the store you bought them from or Adidas Warranty directly, and they'll sort you out with a new pair, because that is obviously something that is not supposed to happen. Although I will also point out that it wasn't that long ago when Nike released the Mercurial Superfly 1 for pros to wear, and 4 pros ended up ripping them in matches so close together to the point where Nike ended up pulling the release of the Superfly 1 and then not re-releasing them until like 2 or 3 months later once they had corrected the issue. Will we see the SpeedFlow 0.1 pulled from shelves because of these two specific instances? I think that's unlikely, but not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. So I guess to conclude this video, all I can say is I don't necessarily think there's a huge durability concern with the SpeedFlow 0.1. I've played in the boots myself. It never occurred to me that there was a structure issue with the upper, especially considering how responsive and locked in they feel when you have the laces tied tight. Although the upper could rip, not just on these, but on pretty much any football boots, certainly ones as thin as these are. So when you wear thin football boots, you kind of assume the risk of the upper tearing and certainly the lack of protection that comes with a super thin upper. But in general, if you were looking at buying a pair of SpeedFlow 0.1s, or if you've already purchased a pair, I don't think you have too much to be concerned about. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you found this video enjoyable. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. If you have any questions at all regarding anything that I talked about in this video, feel free to leave those down below in the comment section. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.